right, I'm gonna lie lay in about 3/4 of an inch, something like that. I'll do the half on, half off on the first hit or so. Reheat that, and I'll set it down just a little bit better, and I'll be keeping my edges square, even on the sides. 3/4 inch square. I just use a longer piece, that way I don't have to use tongs because of the heat. Next step, I'm going to come in right here. I'm going to set it down at kind of a 45-degree angle on each side of that nose area. Bring it over here. It bulges this out just a little bit right here. That's not a big deal. If you don't like it, you can knock it back in. I usually leave it. It'll help later on whenever I flare the nostrils a little bit. It'll kind of give it that little flared out look, so it doesn't bother me. I'll come in right behind my marks on my deal here, and I'll fuller that down. I've got a Smith & Magician that I'll make my first mark with. Then I've got a spring fuller. It's a little bit bigger that I'll make a little bigger fuller with. But the Smith & Magician helps me focus my point right where I want it to start. So that's the reason I use it. And right where I put that little 45-degree angle, it's just right behind it. I try not to put any gap at all between it and where my fuller starts. I want my fuller right up next to it. So. Kind of got it started, and I'll do it again to deepen it up just a little bit, and then I'll switch to this larger fuller. looks good enough to start with my next one, my larger one. Not too bad. Next thing I'm going to do will be at the vise. I'm going to set the eye sockets down in there with the ball peen hammer. It's not too bad. Okay, my next step is I'll probably go ahead and put my, I'll work back over here. I'll probably put the nostrils in and make my eye. The next couple steps will be make my eyes and the nostrils. Matter of fact, I gotta cool it off again. Center punch for the nostril, I usually start with a sharp one that's pretty pointed. Then I switch over to this other one that flares it out just a little wider. It's not as sharp. This one helps me pinpoint kind of where I want to start, and then this one does more of the flare work. Up again. That's kind of the start of it. Pretty good. I'll do his eye socket, his eyes next with the eye punch. Angle iron where it would fit and kind of hold in my deal. Kind of just helps hold things at an angle and supports the nose, the head while I'm working on it, so it doesn't bend out of shape. Angle iron just works good. I mean, I probably should have made it a little more clamping room right here, but I don't have a problem with it. It works good for me. I'm using an eye punch. Bought it at Blacksmith Depot. It's a 3/16 eye punch. It's made out of S7. It's just handy size to use. Seems to go good with this project. Take my center punch, and I usually like to put a pupil in it. Don't know that it's necessary, but it's just what I like to do. Try to center them up, that way it doesn't look like he's looking cross-eyed. Try to keep them kind of even. The thing I'm going to do is determine where I want the front of my horns to be. I'm probably going between an eighth, 3/16 of an inch behind the little flare up on that. I'll draw it down the sides. It just gives me reference points to look at. And that seems to also put it right behind that swell of the eye, where the eye is swelled out just a little bit from where I made that socket. So. That's 3 inches from where I made my mark here, back here. You can do a little bit longer. It's how long do you want your horns on this? They'll be fairly long. You can tell by looking at my other one. So I will be splitting it down the center. This is what I'll be doing with the die grinder. But where I'm going to cut it with the bandsaw, I just figure it about halfway right there. That just kind of gives me a little reference point. That way I can kind of see where I'm cutting with my bandsaw. I'm ready to start cutting. I'll be It's a little diamond wheel blade. Works real good for that sort of stuff. try not to squeeze up there around the cheek area because I don't want to damage it any more than I've already damaged it a little bit. One nice thing about the H13, it stays sharp and holds its edge even while it's hot. Now I'm going to be working back at the anvil. I'm going to spread my horns apart, round it all up, and get my horns made. I usually, at some point in time, I'll put a fuller right here in the nose and up through the brow, but I usually wait till I kind of get my horns made before I do that. You can do it either step, it just seems I like to do it later. So. Basically all I'm going to do this time is just spread the horns apart. I don't know if they'll still be hot enough that I can jump in there and start forging them, or if I'll have to reheat it after I get them spread. So sometimes a set of tongs helps to grab them and fold them around. So I use my good old trusty tongs. Tell you what, I bought these tongs when I very first started blacksmithing. It wasn't the most expensive set out there. Ordered them over the internet. They've been very good tongs. I use them more than I do about any other tong I have. There's 3 of them here, and I use them. They're my quick and dirties, but they seem to just fit right. They've got about the right length of handle that I like, that keeps me away from the heat. My quick and dirties. And believe it or not, I like the dickens out of my quick and dirty tongs. It'll work easier to. Get these spread apart like that. I'm going to reheat them. I don't like starting cold. That's a little thin right here. Sometimes it buckles over. I'll end up just trimming that off a little bit. Just kind of whatever you have to do to make it work. Okay, I'm going to work on rounding, drawing them out first, shaping them, getting them square. Then I'll round them from that point. Once I kind of get them the length, I just draw them out to whatever length they come, once it squares them up, and then draw them to a point. Whatever makes it turn out and look good, well, that's good enough with me. There's no set standard or anything that it has to be. See right here, that point it folds over, makes a little cold shut. I'll end up trimming that off. There, that way, once I have my point, well, it'll be a good, clean, solid point afterwards. Now it comes out a nice square. It's just a slow process. Might be able to do it faster, but yeah, it works better if you keep them hot. It just doesn't cause as much trouble. May bend it just a little bit more. Just that little bit extra, I don't know, just kind of folds it up, lets me get in there a little bit lower down in here to draw that just a little bit. That's kind of a hard area to get to, that I'll use this hammer reel, get in there just a little better. It's not too bad, it's rounding up all right. I think I'll work on the other side just a little bit here in a second. I'll clean that up just a little bit more now. Heat that one up, bend it out of my way a little. Kind of clean that horn up just a little bit. Just kind of keeps it from that folding over, cold shutting on me so bad. Gets where makes it where I can use a little bit more of the metal, so I can get all I can get out of it. I thought about making longer horns, but it seems like every time I get through, they're really long enough. So now, if it was a bigger dragon, that might be different, but on this size, that seems to be, I like the looks of it. So, first time I made one, I didn't make the horn, I didn't make that cut very long. And I was always thinking, man, I wish I had bigger horns. Why am I going to get bigger horns? Well, I wasn't even thinking, cut a longer cut. Mate, give it more materials how you get bigger horns. Took me a little while. Once I figured that out, I had bigger horns on my dragon. I'll heat it up and round it up. Always have one of them that draws out perfect, really good. The other one's a little more challenging. Finish bending it around front, out of the way. With my quick and dirty tongs. I really need to buy me another pair of this 3/8 size. I use the dickens out of them. I've got some other 3/8s. I still don't use them as much as I do these. The handle length, everything about it, I just wish they had a cross deal in them also. They may make some now, I don't know. I need to check in on it, but I kind of wish I had another pair of them. I just like the length of the tongue, everything about it, just good feel to it. It's personal preference. On some big stock, I like these real well. For some reason, I like the big, heavy tongs. I don't like the lightweight, dainty ones. Not near as well. That has that out of the way. Next thing I'm going to do is come in here, and where that's wide and narrow, I'm going to squeeze it in, thicken it up, and give that a little shape. When I'm doing it, I've got to hold it over the anvil so that my cheek area right through here doesn't get damaged. So I'll try to hold it on the edge of the anvil like that to do my drawing out so it doesn't damage the cheek area. It keeps that wide and everything. It's what works pretty good. Not too bad. Basically, I'm kind of at a point, I'll probably take my grinder and everything and give that a good grinding over a little bit, knock some of the edges off, kind of clean it up real good. Now I can do all that right here. That just gives it a smoother finish, does away with those deep cut marks from the bandsaw. I can heat this back up. I can forge the corners in just a little bit and save the material. And then I'll probably buff it up just a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna knock these corners off a little bit. I think now I'm going to take it back to the vise, do a little file work on it. I've got spots right in here real close to the horns that I like to round that off, get that out of there, knock these sharp edges off the horns where it blends them in, rounds them up just a little bit. Kind of the best I can. They don't have to be perfect, just it'll make them look a little better. And I get the material warm. I'm gonna grab up some files. I like using my little half round files. Got a real little one, a little bigger, a little bigger. That way different ones fit in different areas, just whatever works. And I'll start like that right there. I think I'll warm this back up again. I'm gonna get a heavy wire brush and my sanding disc, smooth that up real good, and then I'll be able to fold my horns back over. And after that, after I fold my horns back over and clean this up, we'll start working on making his beard. Be super hot, but just pretty warm works real good. Otherwise it burns up your disc, flap disc, if it's too hot. All I'm doing is rounding it up, giving it a real smooth finish. Kind of catch the bottom side a little bit too. Right here, when I hammered that in, it squeezes them cheeks, makes a little bulge right there. I can take the grinder and knock that off. It also knocks the scale off of it. I like that scale being gone because after I've knocked it off once, it's easy to flake off. It does away with these uneven surfaces. Now I'm ready to heat it up, fold my horns back kind of straight, get them out of my way, and now I'll work on the beard. Dude's pretty warm. Get that a little hotter. I don't want to take a chance of damaging it. It always works better to bend them hot. Don't look so bad. Got her flattened out. I'll heat that back up. I'll squeeze it down to a single beard, kind of point it. I'll probably end up cutting off about half of that because I got quite a bit of material. But I'll start shaping it first so I can see how much I want to cut off. And when you're hitting it, you got to try not to hit the mouth area. Just work mainly on the beard below the jaw. So just try to keep your hits from right here down. What's nice about my rounding hammer is it is really round. Up a little more and I'll cut some off that thing. I think I'm going to cut off about half of that. have to cut off some more of this thing.
He was destined to have Fu Manchu.
I guess I can leave
You
it.
shouldn't curl that way, just straight down.
Oh, you want it to go down, just straight down.
Straight down Fu Manchu style. Maybe a slight curl.
It'll have to have a little bit of curl to it, because when you do the head, if it comes straight down, it just don't come out quite right. It needs just a little dab of curl. I'll make you a nicer, longer one. It's almost like I've been requested to do it a certain way. I'll get you. There, that's looking better. If I didn't know better, you would think that you was getting your own dragon. Huh?
No, just offering up stylistic options.
Well, we'll go for it.
I think you'll look cool.
All right, we'll give her a try. I'll round it up just a little bit, where it's not just a square rectangle type deal. Ooh, that dude's hot. I don't recommend touching it or bumping it. One thing about it, I don't know a blacksmith yet that hasn't felt a piece of hot metal. And if they haven't yet, give it time. They will. I'm at the point now, I need to go back to the vise. I need to fuller in my deal right here before I curl my horn, or I mean the beard a little bit. And then I'll give it a good brushing. I might need to file it just a little bit too. Using a fullering tool, and I'll put the fuller between the nostrils and between the eyebrows. That's where I'll go with it. Get all my stuff ready to do. It just seems like when you fuller at it, just separates everything, kind of gives each eye a more distinct look, gives it a little definition, I guess you might say. This one time, whenever I take my wire brush, buff off some of the heavy scale that's built up on it. Don't have to be perfect, but it kind of knocks it off and gets it where you can see what you really got up here. So, okay. I think I will also cut a mark for his mouth while I've got it up here. I just come right below the little nostril area. And then here after a little while, I'll take my bandsaw and split that in. I'll bring it all the way back to just about that fullered edge. Not quite, maybe a 1/16 of an inch off of it. And then I'll open his mouth a little bit and they'll just, I don't know, it's the way I like to do it, so. Long beard like that? Yeah. All right, that's what we'll work with. I think we just need to let her cool down and we'll come back and finish that up here in a little bit, because I'll have to, now that's got more of an in-depth deal, I'll have to even it up over here on that side. A little dab of file work underneath here, clean it up. Where I got these wrinkles here on top of the horns, I'll kind of bend them up a little bit for whenever we get ready to bend it where they'll be out of the way. But I'll also have to clean them up after I bend it and have it kind of the neck bent and curled around into shape. The horns will be one of the last things I bend on it. I'll get them bent in shape. I'll clean them up once they're in shape. And then we're ready to make a base and put it on the base. So, bend my horns up just a little bit to get them out of my way. Oh yeah, I like it. Yeah. that first bend, doing it backwards, makes all the difference in the world. I kid you not. If you forget that step, you might. It's a mess. It is really a mess.
I
Okay.
don't even know
Oh, you want him to look a little wild, huh?
I mean,
Hey, yeah, we can do a lot of things. That's the nice thing is nothing's set in stone. The only thing we need to do is here on his face, if you'll notice it's twisted a little bit. Need to, right here, the nose part's not square with the head part. We can do a little tweaking on that to level it up and stuff. And I usually do that with a torch because I can heat just that one area and twist it without affecting anything else. Now I'll come along here with these little marks that left on the back. I'll smooth all that stuff up. I'll do a little more filing on the horns where they're spread up open like that. I can get to just a little more on them. But yeah, we just need some, it's not too far out of kilter. That one horn needs to be brought up in line. The base part of it needs to be kind of at the same angle as this other one. And then, I mean, or else bring that one out to match this one. One of the two. But that one there, I've got the horns laid back more. I usually have them more upward and then curl them in, you know, but they go up higher. That one's tilted back. I usually have them tilted upward. But I mean, if you want a horn, say,
like the angle that it's at right now. Yeah.
okay, well, let's make them a little bit more symmetrical. We'll tweak them a little. I think we're through with the bending jig. Ooh, about let it slip. Okay. And it's angled that it's facing this way instead of straight in front, so I need to do just a couple little minor adjustments with a torch to shape it a little bit, and then we'll. Let me get. These are good little tools. I'm gonna get them to fit right quick. Okay, I'll be able to adjust them with that. That's got that part straight, maybe. I overdone it just a wee bit. See what that did. Don't look bad. Now I need to heat it up here, and and square his head up with the body. So it'll kind of be straight that way. I'm gonna spread his mouth open just a little bit. Yeah, I let it cool off too much before I got my stuff ready. Opened it a little bit, like I wanted a little bit more.
Want me to keep heat on it while you open it?
Yeah, I might be able to get it here. Maybe open far enough now I can. There. I got it open. Okay. Well, now we can shape the horns just a little bit, make them a little more symmetrical. So, okay. One's a little taller than the other. I think I can go a little more forward with that one just a little bit.
Point it at this camera.
Huh?
Point it at this one.
I can even them up just a little bit more. Sitting there looking to see where it's bent. I need to bend that whole thing up right there at the head area. What you get into is a lot of fiddling to get it like you want it. Other than the height difference, what's it look like from that side? Not too bad. Well, now I need to do a little file work on it, clean it up some. Now I've got to even this. I need to even that jaw up a little bit so that it looks the same kind of where the beard and all that. Oh. what I do is give us little brow lines right here on each side. Just get a little careful, I think. Can't prove it. That's what I like. Okay. 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 Use the corners off the just a little bit. That way it's got wider than the top enough. And just kind of the edges of the corners off, give it the illusion that it's smaller. Just the way it looks. Yeah. Okay, so the sharp edges, just not the burst off it, or it'll bend in smoothly. Oops. Same like that, actually, this is one. Not this over. Feel like this. I should do all those little steps 21 times again. That's not ideal. Be one here. All right. Well, I think that's that. Now I think we're ready to do one more thing. We'll take a second. So blend in just a little bit. Okay. I think we're ready to cut it off. I'll cut it off with the bandsaw. We'll make a tenon on it. And I've got a little plate, 3x3, that's 3/8 inch thick. I will spread it. I'll find the center, drill a hole in it, or mark it anyway, mark my center. I'll spread it out with a peen of my hammer where it stretches it and leaves the hammer marks in it. Then we'll drill the hole. I'll bevel the hole a little bit and peen this thing over into it. So let me cut a couple things and we'll be ready to go. And as far as how much I cut of this, I just kind of guess how tall I want him to be. You know, and how much material I'm going to be using for my below the shoulder. I'll probably cut him off 1.5 to 1.75 below the area where I started cutting him to make his horns. And then I'll use a good 1/2 inch of that to make my tenon so it'll fit through the plate plenty far. And I can peen it down, grind off the excess, and then I will put my finish on him. And that's a fun little process in its own. Now I'll heat this up, peen it out, and we'll have us a base plate for that thing. While that's heating, I can figure out about how much base I want on this thing. You know, just by eyeballing how tall I want him. Somewhere about that tall. Real precise. way I usually do my tenon is I don't really have a good butchering tool to do my tenon, so I take it over to my belt grinder, or sometimes my bandsaw, put a few cuts around it to kind of get it straight, and I'll take it to the sander and just sand down and make me a round tenon. And whenever I get that plate hammered out and the holes drilled in it, I'll drill about a 1/2 inch hole in that thing, make my tenon about a 1/2 inch, and I'll peen it over real good in there, clean it up one final time, and put a finish on it, and it's finished. Oh my gosh. Hot a lot faster. too bad. Roughly every edge is similar in thickness. Kind of has a nice flared out look to it. I just gotta let it cool off a little bit so I can drill it with my drill a hole in it. This is kind of the tenon I make. I may have to sand a little more. I'll just gotta wait till I drill the hole in that and see how much I like. So. Wasn't too. The only reason I use this is in case I don't have it completely flush up here at the top of the tenon. It'll give it a little bevel to kind of set down into and help set down a little bit lower. I'll bevel the back side of it. Bevel the back side a little deeper, and then I'll take a chisel and put some cuts in it. That way whenever I peen it, it'll keep it from twisting. That'll help hold it from spinning. May not be perfect, but it'll help. what it looks like. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'll grind off the excess there on top. Hit this little sander, do it a little finer, smoother. Now, I guess I need to put a finish on him. That's a messy job in itself. That melts it for me, gets it started. I will tell you that stuff is flammable. You wouldn't think it, but that burning rag helps the darkening.
Yeah, I do a similar process with an oil rag. Less oil, more rag.
I mean, it looks silly.
The dragon emerging from the smoke. It's actually a good shot. You want to turn that back on? Have it blow flames out of its mouth.
know if I got those. Yeah, I may have got the horns good enough. Thing is, once it cools down, it cools a good smooth finish and everything. I don't know how, but it sure does.